So there was a friend of mine, and he was trying to figure out what he wanted to be doing. He was very into entrepreneurship, but at the end of the day, the things that he was trying to really figure out within entrepreneurship weren't really working out so well. And he wanted to try to understand what it is that he could start to do to just do the things that he wanted. I don't think he wanted to finish his entrepreneurship journey, but he wanted to try to figure out what it is that he wanted to do. And what was interesting is that he looked at the bigger picture and he realized that he had this opportunity for a job, even though it was working for somebody else, and he looked to take it. And the question is, why did he take it? How's the shift of the mindset that he can make in terms of making that shift? Because that could be a big one, especially for all those people who are in that position, and really trying to understand what is that they can do. Because I think at the end of the day, not people talk about mental health within their own personal health, just for them as a person, but how does that affect us in the business sense? And how does that affect us in the workplace? Because if we can start to realize that all the things that we want to be doing in the workplace, meaning the amount of money we want to be making, positions we want to be holding, the assets, investments that we want to be having, all of those things are affected by our mental health. And for some people, they just don't think, they just move, and then they get burnt out. For other people, they move, and they're constantly growing and becoming and doing so much more, which is very exciting. But at the end of the day, what is it that we can do to allow ourselves to become the people that we want to become, do the stuff that we want to be doing in a professional sense? Of course, everybody knows for personal sense, like they want to just be the person that they want to be, fulfill their potential. But even within the work self, what is it that we can start to do? How is it that we can start to utilize mental health and self-awareness just about what's going on in our daily lives to allow us to see all the different things that we want to be doing? And for starters, what we have to recognize is that every opportunity we have, so whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you are somebody who is working for somebody else, you have to realize that that opportunity that you have or the thing that you're doing should be making you into somebody. There's somebody I know, a student of mine, who literally just said, I just want to take any job. And I'm like, well, like what type of job if you had any? He's like, I just don't care. I just want to like do something. I just want to be busy. I just want to make some money. Don't even make a lot of money, which is like totally fine if that's your goal. But understand that if you are just doing anything like the dishes, like that could be very meaningful, or it could be very just lonely and boring. And for certain people, they don't allow themselves to become somebody. They don't allow themselves to take things to the next level because all they're doing is really just holding themselves back. And what we need to understand, what we need to realize, that we have the ability to do things in our life every single day, because for somebody's work days, the hours that they're putting into the work is a really nice big chunk of time that they're putting into their life. They're investing into their life. And the question is like, even if you're working for somebody else, how can you be investing in yourself? How is it that you can start to become somebody even through those moments, through those times? How is it that there are different things that are happening, and you know what, you can set yourself up in a position where you look back 5, 10, 15, 20 years that you're happy you did it, even though you were making somebody else a lot of money. And that, I think, is so beneficial to our own personal development and our own personal growth. Besides for financially being handicapped or locked down to be able to needing to work for somebody else, but even to allow yourself to say, hey, you know what, I have certain opportunities. I can become somebody. I could do things. I could be the guy who works 9 to 5, and then at nighttime I speak to other people who can help me invest my money, so then over time I'm going to be able to not need to work, but I'm going to want to work. And when it's not one of those talks about like what's better, entrepreneurship or 9 to 5, that's a whole different series. And I think it has some YouTube videos on that. So you could definitely take a look at the YouTube channel about that stuff. But just to understand, when we are doing the work, the day to day, who are we becoming? What is it that we're going to be getting? And what's interesting is just like when you go to the gym, you're working out, you don't necessarily see the results. You don't necessarily feel, that growth, but you know that you're doing the work, and the work is going to show the results. And what we need to understand is that if we are doing things that are going to make us into somebody, turn us into the person that we want to become, then we know every single day, even if it's boring, even if we're not in the mood, we have the ability to do what it is that we want to be doing. And for so many people, they're not focused on that. I was recently speaking to a student of mine, and he was telling me how he got into sales. He got into car dealership sales. And I was telling him, I'm like, dude, that's an amazing opportunity for somebody just starting out, like car sales. Like every big salesperson say they started in like car sales. So it seems like there's something about that you can start to do. And nobody wants to be like the car salesman because it also has a bad rep. But if you can start to sell somebody a car in a specific way and learn the skills to become a salesperson, you don't think that's going to flow over into real estate, into any other opportunity, any other type of sales that you're going to be having? Of course it is. And he kept saying, initially it was like, oh, he just took it and like he hates it and he's like just learning by trial and error. I'm like, you got to educate yourself. You got to learn. There's so many things that you can be doing to allow yourself to succeed in that way. And I think that was a big shift for him, because instead of showing up, needing to show up to work to get the paycheck and try to make a sale, he looked at it as now an opportunity that he can become somebody. And I think if we can start to become somebody, if we can start to see the opportunities around us, that the things that we're doing are making us into something, that they're changing who we are, even if it's not tomorrow, even if it's not next week, but understanding that we're investing in ourselves to become the person that we want to become, that could be the thing that changes everything. Because for so many people, they don't realize it, that the things that they're doing day in and day out, there's two ways to look at it. You can either look at it as like, I need to be doing this, or I want to be doing this. And even if it's something that you don't really want to be doing, but I want to be doing it because the result it's going to give me, whether financially or whether it's going to make me into somebody that then financially I'm going to be able to figure it out. And then that's something that we have to start to shift. Because the biggest way, and this is the second point I want to make, the biggest way to destroy your own self-esteem is to do things that you don't want to be doing. Right? Think about it. If you want to be waking up early and you don't wake up early, so you end up beating yourself up, you don't like yourself, and then all of a sudden your self-esteem and self-worth just goes down the drain. And what we need to try to do is try to do things in our life that are going to help support our goals, to help support the things that we want. And what's crazy is that it doesn't need to be the ideal schedule. I always tell people, like, even like in like an ideal sense, if you can wave a magic wand, you want to be waking up at 3 a.m. and being productive and writing books and working all day and making lots of money and spending time with your family and all those amazing things that everybody might want to be doing. It doesn't have to be that. It could just be like, I just want to wake up at 8 o'clock, 8:30, right? In the grand scheme of things, that might be a little late for people. I just want to be able to just focus for like 45 minutes a day. And what we have to realize and what we have to recognize is, like, what is the things that we can do? Because if we do those things, if we wake up at 8:30, then want to start feeling good about ourselves. And the day that we want to snooze until like 9:30, and we wake up at 8:30, I don't think that's going to help us. And what we have to realize and try to figure out is all these different things, all these focuses that we can start to have within our business life are only going to be able to overflow into other areas of our life as well. Do you not think if you become a more confident person in business, that's not going to help you in other areas of your life? Do you not think if you were able to build your self-esteem within the business realm, and that's the difference between self-esteem and self-worth, because self-esteem, you can be confident in one specific area, but you can still have a low self-esteem in another area. And what we have to try to figure out is, what is it that we can start to do? How is it that we can start to work on ourselves? What are the opportunities that we have right now that are going to be only beneficial to us, that they're only going to make us into somebody? And by taking those opportunities and noticing that they are opportunities and not just things we have to be doing, and even if we have to be doing it, how can we switch? How can we change it? How can we just shift that frame to put on another pair of glasses to say, look at this, you know what? I want to do something different over here. And that is one of the biggest shifts that my friend had, who ended up going back to the 9-to-5 world, because he recognized that, you know what, maybe this is not his ideal, but in 5 years from now, he's going to look back at the fact that he took this 9-to-5 job, and he's going to know this 9-to-5 job is going to make me into somebody. It's going to turn me into the person that I want to be. So in 5 years from now, when I jump back into entrepreneurship, guess what? I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to have so much more skills. And that is what we want to start to look for. So when we are looking for the mental health, the awareness within our own personal lives and our own business lives, what is it that we want to be doing? And I think if we could start to work on those areas, number one, we have to realize for ourselves, who are we becoming? Number two, our own self-worth. That could be a thing that could start to shift it all. Because for so many people, they are so stuck with what it is that they're doing that they're just wasting. And I don't want to see like wasting your life, because I hate that. They're not just wasting their life, they're wasting an opportunity. They're like being given an opportunity to grow, and they're just shifting it, and they're putting it on a different lens. And because of that, they're not helping themselves, or not looking to take it to the next level. And for so many people, it's literally right in front of them. It's hard, because I know the feeling, because on the one hand, like, it gets so negative and you get so down on it, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then, you know, our egos get in the way, other people's egos get in the way. It's like happening too slow. I get it. But what we need to recognize, we need to try to figure out for ourselves, is what is it that we can do? How is it that we could start to put different things in the way to allow ourselves to help ourselves become and see that success? Because just like my student who was in that sales position, and now that he's looking back at it, and he's so much more grateful, because he's literally doing the same exact thing. He just has a different perspective. And it was only a conversation. It was like a 5 to 10 minute conversation that we had. And that was all that took. And hopefully these few minutes that we speak now shift it. So if you're in a position where you like really don't like what you're doing, you really have not appreciated the work that you're doing, right? And maybe it's not work, maybe it's another specific area of your life that you have to be doing. It's a responsibility that you have. But if we can start to understand that, that could be something that can start to shift it all. So recognize that, and seeing that, I think, is going to be one of the big shifts that we can start to make regarding that piece. And also, I think a big part of it is the productivity level. Meaning, if you want to become successful, you got to feel good about yourself. Right? You have to work on your mental health. You have to be really focused and mindful about what it is that you're looking to do. And I think for so many people, they end up beating themselves up and they're so not productive. And what's interesting is I heard this example from Alex Hormozy, and he's given the idea where he had an employee, and the employee went through like a bad breakup, but the bad breakup, rightfully so, was lingering, and it was starting to affect his work, and affect his work, not just his work, other people's work. And it was getting too much. And he had a conversation with him saying, "Hey, dude, what's going on? I understand, but like we need to like be able to focus on our work." And then working for him, it's like very high level, and he just couldn't get out of it, and he had to let him go. He said. And on the one hand, like you feel bad for the guy because like, oh my gosh, one thing and that's the next thing and the next thing and like everything was bad. But at the same time, he let all that negativity flow into the other areas of his life. Like if you think about like a ship, like the Titanic that gets hit by an iceberg. And what we have to try to do is we have to try to close off certain levels. Right? We have to try to figure out what is that we can do to not allow ourselves to self-sabotage, to put ourselves in a position where, you know what, all these things that are going to be happening in our lives, all the negativity that's going to be happening, the people that make comments to us, right, the coworker who's just annoying to be around, who's disgusting to be around, who always makes those stupid comments, we can't let those affect us because we all know the people in our lives that do that. And then all of a sudden we bring that to home. We come into the house and we're already so negative, we're already so exhausted, and we just don't want to be bothered. And that can't happen. And guess what? That is the growth that we're looking for. That is the personal development that we're looking for. That is the person who we are going to become. Because if you want to become the person who comes home from work, and even when everything goes down the drain at work, but you could come home with a smile on your face and be there for your family and be present with your family, would that not be worth it? And it doesn't just happen. It actually takes work. And what we have to try to figure out is what is it that we can do to do that? How is it that we can start to put the positions in our life? How is it we can just start to notice it? I think a lot of people don't even recognize, hey, you know what? They're assuming that I have to do X, Y, and Z. And guess what? They all assume those different things, those different areas in their life, because that's just the way they want. That's their habit. And we have to break that habit. We have to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be living like this. I don't want to be doing X, Y, and Z. I don't want to be doing this thing over here. And what we need to try to figure out is how we can switch it. And the first part is just recognizing it. Saying, hey, you know what? I realize every time I see my boss, I start to freak out. I get so nervous. So I want to really be able to work on that. I would really want to become the person that I'm not nervous to go over to my boss, to ask for feedback. I want to be the type of person who is helping out other people. Maybe I'm just a negative person. I'm the negative person, and I want to be able to help others out. I want to be there for other people. Maybe I want to be that type of person. And what we need to try to understand for ourselves is what is it that we want to be becoming? Who is it that we want to be in order to become that person? And then it's only going to help us on the productive level. It's only going to help us succeed. Do not think that you're going to your boss and saying, hey, you know, I have this project. Any chance you could help me out a little bit? Or can you give me some feedback? Do not think they're going to love that. Like, oh my gosh, this person's really taking their job seriously. They want to be able to take it to the next level. Do not think you'll get a promotion. Do not think you'll get a raise. Of course you will. And what we need to do is we need to try to figure out who is it that we want to become. And that all goes into the mindfulness. That all goes into our well-being and really taking care of ourselves. And it goes the opposite way too. So if our personal life is a wreck, we have to try to see how is it that we can stop and not bring that into our business life. How is it possible that we say, you know what, what's going to stay in our personal life is going to stay in our personal life, and what we're going to do is we're going to work in our professional life. And once we do that, once we can try to figure that out, that's going to be the thing that's going to help us. Because for so many people, they don't realize that they have the opportunity to leave things at bay, to not bring things into the new areas, to not crossbreed. And that is something that for so many people, they get so stuck. For so many people, they want to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and they just can't. So what is it that you're going to do? How is it that you're going to step up your own well-being in the workplace? How is it that you're going to take the things that are going on in your life and allow yourself to just become the person that you want to become professionally? This all goes without saying in our personal life, right? Professionally, how can we become that person? How can we become that person? How can we become that go-to that when somebody has a problem, they can come over to us and like just trust us? How is it possible that you know what, when my boss needs something to get done, they're going to call on me to be able to do it because they trust me, whether I can do it or not. But you can become the person that they go to at least. And that is what we need to try to figure out, because if we could become that person, I don't think we'll be upset about that. I don't think we'll be annoyed about that. And even if you're an entrepreneur and you have your own stuff, how can you become that person? How can you become the salesperson who never gives up, who's so consistent, who's so disciplined with what it is you're looking to do? How is it you can consistently do the marketing that you want to be doing? How is it possible that you can just live the life that you want to be living? And for so many people, they get it so wrong because they think first of all, they think they're stuck. And second of all, they're doing things and they just have the wrong focus. What is your focus that you want? What is it that we need to start to change? And what are the disciplines that we can start to put in our daily lives to allow ourselves to start to change? Let me know what questions you have. Like always, we'll see you all in the next one. And don't forget to follow and to subscribe and listen to the podcast. Peace out.